everyone, this is Tova from Duality, and today, in honor of Safer Internet Day, we decided to take a little bit of a different approach. Our VP of Global Marketing, Cella Arthur, has had several years of experience in helping the internet be a safer place, particularly during her time at Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And I thought that we would just talk a little bit about your experience there, what might have changed between then and today, and if you have any tips for safer internet use in 2023.
Thank you, Tova. So, interestingly enough, I guess let me go back to the Microsoft days. So, I was a senior director within the security and access group. That primarily impacted the technology side, so it was more about Windows security and making sure that people did their updates to Exchange and patches and those type of things. But I happen to have children that I care about deeply. And there was a joke, I guess, around Microsoft about, my being a mom. My email address actually at the time had mom in it. And because I was basically the advocate in making sure that all of the different Microsoft subsidiaries had the right talk track when it came to their communities around what Microsoft was doing from a security perspective, I had the opportunity to actually take part in their child safety initiative, which was probably one of the most, I would say, meaningful parts, or experiences in my career, because I was able to actually, for the first time, combine work, which I'm super passionate about, and my family, right, which I'm even more passionate about. And at first, I didn't really understand what that meant. The advocacy around child safety was handled in these tours that we did around the country, around the world. The first tour that I did was around the DC area. I had the opportunity to work with Brian Cranston and John Walsh, who both television people, who had a very specific interest in the mission that we were talking about. John Walsh, specifically after the loss of his child. And I think I experienced what technology can do, right, at a very society level for the first time in my career. I mean, not only was I exposed in that time to what we call the Situation Room, which is a room which is in Microsoft headquarters in Redmond, where you would see the number of different types of, I would say, security issues, right, that would come up, right, in this heat map type of environment. That was very technology driven. That was about viruses and anti-spyware and those type of things. Where the Child Safety Initiative was about adopting better behaviors. Now, this is the time of MySpace, so I'm going back, a really long time. This is at the time where the internet was just becoming this thing in reality. Around, I think it was around 2003, 2004 timeframe. And one of the most powerful sessions that we did was, and it was actually my first, because I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to go. But we were speaking to an auditorium of students, hundreds and hundreds of students, high school students. And we had everybody stand up in the auditorium, every student stand up. And the moderator asked some very, very basic questions like, have you shared your name online? Have you shared your address online? Have you provided somebody with your phone number? And as this was happening, right, the kids were sitting down. And at the end, there was only one student standing.
Wow.
And it really personified, right, how big of an issue we have and how big of an issue we had, right? Here from a technology perspective, especially being a part of, a Microsoft and those type of entities, you always think about security at a business level, right? Especially in the role that I was in. When it actually, put, the child safety issue into perspective for me, I was just blown away. And I realized very quickly, right, I had to check and see what's happening at home, right? Because do I have all the proper safeguards with my kids? And how do we stay on top of this? So it was a beautiful experience. Like I said, super rewarding, being a mother today, where I have kids who are on their own, I have some that are in college, I have one still in high school, it's gotten worse, frankly.
Yeah.
And it's not that the technology, right, these big technology entities, right, these big companies, it's not that they've made it worse. I think, how social media is being utilized today. We are limited in the safeguards because kids are smarter. They're smarter than their parents in most cases. I've been in technology for 33 years, and I still sometimes go to my kids to help me with something, which is frightening, but that's the reality, right? So I think from that perspective, there's still so much more to do. But like anything else, I think it starts at the home and having the conversations and being intrusive. I think that, working for duality, right, where privacy is our focus and making sure that we maintain privacy. I don't think that we realize sometimes the impact of that in our consumer lives or in our home lives. And I think what we need to do, or at least what I try to do as a privacy advocate, is make sure that I'm constantly communicating with my children about what is so critical, right, about their being and why they need to honor themselves in a way that limits what type of information they share online. I had one of the probably worst experiences that I've been exposed to, and I won't go into the details of it because it would take too long. But I was exposed to someone who actually thought that they were engaging for months with a kid their age. A 12-year-old boy talking to a 12-year-old girl. And in reality, it wasn't a 12-year-old girl. It was a 40-something-year-old man. And that happened because, some of these bad, actors, right, bad characters are so skilled in how to leverage social media. They map it, they watch, they're almost architects, right, in trying to, they do discovery, right? Very similar to like how we do discovery in our user journey from a marketing perspective. They're doing discovery with a very, very bad goal in the end. And I think that we need to be more open, be more frank. We're teaching our children today to be communicative, right? To not be competent, to speak their mind. Well, what we should also be encouraging them to do is to respect themselves, respect their beings, their minds. And one way of doing that is ensuring that the only people that they release information with, right, are people that they actually know. That they have these best practices in place that we, right, as parents, can actually help them with so that they are being safe online. So, safety online, there's so many different definitions of what that is, and there's so many different angles. But for me, I prefer to talk about it from a family perspective, from a child safety perspective, because to me, the reason I go to work every day and the reason I've been at this for 33 plus years is because of my family, because of my children. And I would do anything, right, in this world or in my power to make sure that I keep them safe online.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your time with us. And we look forward to discussing more about practical ways to implement privacy in your homes and in your lives.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.